bastard caught me dead to rights.
Louis, you have failed me. I don't know what you were doing, but Elizabeth returned much too soon. An day earlier, and I would have been caught. I didn't get time to search through everything, but I did manage to find what I was looking for. The young lady really is John Adams' daughter. Signed, George Washington.
Well done, Louis. The President of the United States asked for your assistance and you screwed up? Mother finds out, I get the feeling I'll never hear the end of it. Not for a few years, anyway. Now, what was I going to do last night? Ah, yes. Search the room. According to what I saw in my vision, this room was Mother's before I got it. Maybe she left something behind that will help me find her. Nothing. The torture of Ixion, condemned by the gods to lose his mind because of his arrogance. Inspiration of St. Matthew, or Matthew writing his gospel, dictated to him by voices. I haven't even had time to unpack my cases.
Dear Monsieur de Richet, please excuse me, but I am unable to join you at present. However, rest assured that we are doing all we can.
Writing material. The incredulity of St. Thomas. Why is Caravaggio representing St. Thomas putting his finger in the wound? Thomas looks on but doesn't touch. Inferno by Dante. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. No, this bookcase is well stocked. Oh, this book has been put back the wrong way round. A Voyage Around the World. The travel log of the explorer, Louis-Antoine de Bougainville. One of Mother's favorite books. What a coincidence. And I don't believe in coincidences. It's just too much. I don't know what's going on here, but if you felt threatened, I'll bet you'd leave a clue, wouldn't you, Mother? Found it. A faint sign of the order, barely visible. Mother, you undoubtedly must have hidden a clue in this book. Let's see if I can find anything else in this room. I'm not far from solving the puzzle. I must keep searching. Look, markings on the floor. Just a bit worn out. I was hoping to find something leading to a secret passage. Nothing here. I wouldn't mind a nice, strong coffee, though. There's a circle around the lock here. Must be the trunk Mortimer was talking about. The key should open it. There's a note. Effects of Sœur de Richer, to be given to her son, Louis. I should probably take it. All right. I've retrieved everything. Judith beheading Holofernes. Ironic in a way, when you know that the artist Saint Jerome the Angel. Yet again, Saturn devouring his son. Again? I saw the same theme in the hall. Saint Francis of Assisi, the conversion of Saint Paul, by Caravaggio. It's incredible. It doesn't look like a copy, but I was sure the original Inferno by Dante. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. Lovely lectures Mortimer's giving to his guests. Very jolly. Nothing. Look, markings on the floor. Just a bit worn out. I was hoping to find something leading to a secret passage. Saint Jerome and the Angel. Yet again, art with political undertones with an image of a saint hearing voices. Nothing. I haven't even had time to unpack my cases. The Last Judgment. Why do I always get the most terrifying room? Writing material. The incredulity of St. Thomas. Why is Caravaggio represented St. Thomas putting his finger in the wound? Thomas looks on but doesn't touch.
Here's something will undermine my botanist's appreciation for the local climate.
Let's recap. My mother was in this room. I found a rare edition of her favorite book. She must have left something behind. She must have used the writing materials. What if she used lemon juice instead? An old trick used to hide messages. A message using invisible ink. I bet she used a lemon to leave a message. Now, how do I reveal the message? The message is illegible. I have to keep searching. Damn, I'm making a serious mess here. It's no good. It might have worked if the writing had left marks in the paper, but no, there's only traces of lemon. Luckily, I've only put ash on part of the message. Inferno by Dante. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
Lovely lectures Mortimer's giving to his guests. Very jolly.
Nothing here. I wouldn't mind a nice, strong coffee, though. Ah, secret writing. Many people use this method for their secret correspondences. Light the flame and the ink appears. It's working. The heat reveals the message. Let's see what my mother wrote. Where all eyes size you up, you must pass by the Gorgon. Gorgon was the name of Medusa in Greek mythology. On the other hand, where all eyes size you up, I don't get it. And judging by the number of paintings in the manor, it could be anywhere. Damn! The message continues, but thanks to me, the rest of the text is unreadable. Great. I hope it wasn't a unique edition or Mother's gonna kill me. Now I better hurry and find that damn Medusa.
Sir, dinner is served in the Red Salon.
Typical.
I'm not hungry. Please give my apologies to all the guests.
Sir Holm requests your presence, sir.
Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to wait before going and looking for my Medusa.
Tell him I'll be there in a minute.
If I get a chance, I may have to take a little tour through the rooms of the other guests. Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. President George Washington.
Let no one disturb me. I'm busy.
Too bad. I'll see him later. Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. Huh, that's me. President George Washington. That's the door to Elizabeth's room.
For God's sakes, what happened in here?
Honey, the remedy of the gods. Looks like I found a box containing some kind of white crystals. Well, let's see what it tastes like. Ugh. I really need to stop tasting everything I find now. June 11th, 1791. My dear Elizabeth, your last letter gave me much cause for concern. Your words were so cold, as if emotions no longer matter to you. November 1791. My dear sister, the cancellation of our reunion hit me like a stab to the heart. Father told me it was for your well-being, but I can't help but blame him. August 24th, 1792. Elizabeth, I am driven to despair and doubt there is any point in writing to you. I'm not even sure you'll receive my letters. Father controls my correspondence more and more. I am certain he filters our exchanges. Thankfully, one of the chambermaids is able to...
A novel of the initiation of a young woman into polite society.
My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of May. I've been told that you're no better, and, unfortunately, your brothers and I are absolutely snowed. A chest with a half-circle pattern. Looks like I found a box containing some kind of white crystals. Monsieur Johann van Vulner.
Excuse me, Monsieur de Richet. I really need to talk to you.
Is this about last night?
No, that was just a misunderstanding. I'm sure it was a little bit my fault, too.
There's no excuse for that man's horrible behavior. You ought to tell Sir Holm.
Look, the only thing that I care about is that I've lost something precious. I'm not worried about Jacques Peru. You're her son. Sarah de Richet's son.
Yes, why?
Last night, I found out that your mother was on the island. What are you doing here?
Excuse me, but speaking frankly, why would you care?
I know your mother very well.
Really?
Yes, I have been in your mother's care ever since I was born.
She nursed you.
Oh, I wouldn't say nursed. No, I remember her stare. cold as ice. Her sadistic hands pressing over my mouth to silence me while I screamed in pain. I remember her knees, too. She held me down with them while she cut and burned scars into me.
Hold on a minute. What do you mean?
You can ask her when you see her.
Huh, she's getting more and more agitated.
Look, I've got to go.
Wait. I need to know more about you and my mother. Why did she put you through all of that? There must be some reason for what she did.
What's the point of rubbing salt in the wounds?
You're right. I don't want this conversation to turn into an interrogation. You've suffered enough already. I respect your silence. Please excuse me.
Well, thank you. I know your little game. You're no different from the rest of them. You couldn't give a damn about me. The only thing you're interested in is finding out about your mother.
Don't say that. Not everyone wants to use you. Some people care about you, don't they? Haven't you got a sister?
Yes.
I'm sure she loves you with all her heart.
She's the only one who cares about me. I would have put an end to it all by now if it weren't for her. Since you insist, I'll tell you how I met your mother.
Thanks for trusting me.
You see, before I was born, my mother often suffered from hallucinations and fits of anger. Soon people could barely recognize her. She became a completely different person. So my father spent an enormous amount of money paying for the best doctors, but none of them were able to cure her. The last resort was to call a priest.
So, is that what your father did?
No. He went to an expert in the occult.
Ah, my mother.
Her reputation already extended beyond our borders. My mother's fits stopped at my birth, and Sarah de Richet concluded that the evil had passed into me. Not only did it encourage her to stay, but she took the opportunity to advise my father to separate me from the rest of my family. That's how I was declared stillborn. My fate was decided that very day.
It would coincide with my mother's frequent trips to America.
I had my first fit when I was 3. That's when your mother began her experiments to rid me of the evil inside.
I understand how you feel, but I know my mother. I'm sure she had her reasons, even if it seems difficult to believe.
Everything she put me through was all for nothing. My whole life was ruined for nothing.
So what brings you here then?
My father used to know Sir Holm. He offered to introduce me to the world's leading authority in the occult.
Lord Mortimer.
He was my last hope. Until I found out he had also invited your mother.
It's got to be a coincidence. I don't believe for a second she's come here for you.
You can't change my mind about this, Louis. My days are numbered, and I know it.
What can I do for you, sir? I am at your service day and night, sir.
Yes. What can I find on the second floor?
That floor is strictly reserved for Lord Mortimer, sir. In the west wing, on the second floor, are his private chambers. In the east wing are the rooms reserved for Lord Mortimer's personal guests. At the moment, these rooms are reserved for Sir Holm, sir. But only authorized guests may access that area. Does Sir have any more questions?
What is outside on the island exactly?
Lord Mortimer has made a point of keeping the main part of the island in its natural state, sir. For security reasons, only the wharves and the gardens are accessible to guests. If Sir would like to walk along the wharves, he has only to follow the pathway used upon his arrival. If he would like to walk in the interior gardens of the manor, I would advise Sir to pass through the portrait gallery. May I help Sir in any other way?
As I was unable to bring my personal effects with me, I was wondering if you could find me a few items.
Of course, sir. What would you require?
I still haven't quite recovered after that boat crossing. Would you happen to have any devil's thorn by any chance?
I am sorry, sir, but the devil's thorn may be just a plant, but it is also a powerful psychotropic drug that causes undesirable diuretic effects. I would advise against Sir taking any.
Don't worry, my good man. I know the effects of devil's thorn very well. I've been taking it for years without any adverse effects. I've never had cause to complain. You can believe me.
That is well, sir. Here is Sir's herb. What else can I do for you, sir?
You wouldn't have a little golden elixir I could use, would you?
Oh, unfortunately, sir, I have orders not to give any of that medicine to any of Lord Mortimer's guests. Some guests are here to follow a very strict treatment. Mixing or combining certain substances would be dangerous for Sir.
A little Carmelite water would do me a lot of good. Could you find me some, please?
Oh, the tonics are under lock and key, sir. Lord Mortimer only allows access to them in cases of emergency.
What? That's the last straw. Lord Mortimer himself asked me to take the sea to join him here. I accepted out of kindness. The voyage was undertaken in conditions that I prefer not speak about. And then at long last I arrive and you refuse me a simple flask of Carmelite water?
No, sir,
Your name. Tell me your name.
Here, sir, your Carmelite water. Please accept my sincerest apologies. If Sir requires anything else whatsoever, Sir has only to ask.
My good fellow, would you have any amber available?
I would, but unfortunately I don't think I am authorized to give it out, sir. I believe it is a precious stone.
What's that book you're hiding in your jacket?
The Sorrows of Young Werther by Goethe, sir, and I am not hiding it.
Hand it to me, please.
It is damaged, sir. I would never dare lend Sir a book in such a pitiful state, sir. I took it to restore.
Indeed, this masterpiece must not become more damaged. Let me have it and I'll take care of it personally. I love antiquarian books.
It bothers me somewhat. It isn't Sir's job to take care of it, really.
No, but I would love to. You'll be doing me a favor by letting me have it.
In that case, sir, I shall leave it in your care with pleasure. May I do anything else for Sir?
What do you want?
I'd rather keep all my teeth.
Dear friends, I bid you welcome. I hope the night was not too short. Your Eminence, Duchess, Monsieur de Richet, allow me to introduce our new guests. They arrived during the night. Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs and close aide of Frederick William II, King of Prussia. Napoleon Bonaparte, Lieutenant of the French Revolutionary Army. And Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. Unfortunately, my friends, Lord Mortimer will not be joining us this morning, but he should be with us later. So, let us begin.
What is Mortimer playing at? He tells me to come urgently and he sends no one to meet me?
Not really, no.
Thank you again for the wine, Your Eminence. It is served every day at the King's
My
table.
friend.
I am delighted to hear it.
Volner and Piaggi seem to be getting along well.
And right he wants
My dear Johann, how are you?
Glad to make landfall at last. And yourself.
Very well.
And your husband?
He's poorly. The French Revolution gives him terrible headaches.
Oh, I understand. I shall feel better too, as soon as the situation is settled.
If by chance the French crisis is emulated in Berlin, there will always be a refuge for you in London, my dear.
Your offer does you honor, Emily. But London is much closer to Paris than Berlin. Beware. The French are capable of sailing up the Thames straight to the Houses of Parliament.
Oh, my friend, I am shaking in my clogs.
Is the wine to your liking?
Very much so, Sir Gregory. Such complexity. Typically French. A Sauterne, isn't it?
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, this is not Lord Mortimer's favourite wine. It is yours.
In his absence, I have taken the liberty of making a slight deviation from the rule, but I count on your discretion.
Don't worry, I appreciate the same grape varieties as you. I remember the last time we tasted that nectar here at this table. The finest minds of the century were present.
And the last time we drank it, the orphanage in Bloomsbury was still in ruins.
Would you repeat that?
Oh, well, I put some small effort into the works. The orphanage reopened just before Christmas. The bedrooms, washrooms, and the classrooms had all been refurbished.
I don't know what to say. You have given the girls a wonderful Christmas gift. Thank you.
I made a promise. Now it is done.
Is everything all right?
Yes, thank you. I had a moment of absence, but here I am again.
What do you think of Volner?
Many believe he is the real leader of Prussia. A charming man, but with an iron fist and a velvet glove. I also know he's famous for his love of the hunt in all its forms.
That's right. Monsieur can do wonders.
Have you any information on this Napoleon?
What do you think, madam? What is this Bonaparte doing here?
The presence of a soldier is never a good sign. It can only mean there's going to be further war. To answer your question, I only know that his family were in favor of the revolution, and that it almost cost them their lives.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Monsieur de Richet, it would seem we have common interests. Could we speak in private, please? Lord Mortimer and the Golden Order, through your mother, have concluded a financial agreement.
Stay composed, Louis. I'm listening.
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother. You must know that I am deeply sorry about their disappearance, but I must validate the deal urgently if I want to be able to organize things properly.
I haven't seen Lord Mortimer yet. I'm afraid I'll be unable to answer your questions.
He assured me that you could replace your mother during her absence.
I appreciate his confidence, but still, this is a bit hasty. But please continue.
Of course, but I need to know if I can count you among my allies.
Well, of course.
And for that, I have a little question for you. The agreement stipulates an aid of 50,000 louis d'or for 200 cannon.
I've only just taken over the affair. The agreement will be considered null and void until we've gone through it together. Is that clear?
All right, you seem to know what you're doing. I have one last question I would like to pose to you. We don't know each other yet, you and I need to make sure that we both share the same vision for the future of France. Given the hard times that have befallen our beautiful country, what do you think it would take to restore its luster?
It's time for Girondins and Montagnard to come together at last and give rise to a republic worthy of all the spilled blood. Both parties must put an end to their petty quarrels for the good of all.
You must be joking, my friend. Neither side will ever accept the advice of the other. It's simply a lost cause.
The revolution was a good thing, but it gave birth to a monster. We must overthrow the new system in place.
Ah, you are right. Monsieur de Richet, I am reassured. I am very happy to have met you. Lord Mortimer was right to put his trust in you. I hope to work with you in the very near future. I would like to thank you for your support by offering you this humble little gift.
Reflections on the Revolution in France.
Mr. Bonaparte, I thank you for this gesture, and please know that I, too, am delighted to have met you.
My friends, I would like to say a few words, please. I would like to thank Lord Mortimer, and you, Sir Holm, for bringing us all together here. Those of us for whom it is not the first time here, like me, are all trembling in sweet anticipation of the arrival of our host. For the rest, I would like to reassure you that Lord Mortimer always has a few surprising projects to propose. But I can assure you that each and every one of us has always benefited from them. The last time I came to this place, Lord Mortimer offered to help me in my electoral campaign for the presidency of the United States. And it is imminently clear that his support was an invaluable aid to us. We are here among like-minded people. So let us put aside the conflicts in which some of our nations find themselves at present. So I raise my glass in honor of you all, my new and old friends.
I trust you shall not be disappointed, Mr. Washington. Right, we shall meet again tomorrow. All the guests will be present, as well as Lord Mortimer, I hope. Until then, I trust you will find plenty to keep you amused.
Alright, let's recap. Before dinner, I was going to investigate my mother's message. I've got to find the place where all eyes size you up. The lock is surrounded by a triple circle. Circe. The lock is surrounded by a triple circle. Romney painted Lady Hamilton as Circe. Circe preparing wine. What better trap for Ulysses? The conversion of Ulysses by Gurs. Circe changing Ulysses' companions into swines. A swine in a salon. That's an odd choice of decor. Well, Your Eminence, do you still have any room left?
Ah, my son, the sin of gluttony is the most difficult of all in my eyes. Nevertheless, what a charming moment we have had together. I'm delighted I was able to talk to Mr. von Wollner. We hadn't spoken to each other for an eternity.
Yes. I noticed that Your Eminence knew a fair number of people at the table.
The benefit of age, my son. This isn't my first invitation to Lord Mortimer's. You will see, it's the perfect place to make new friends. Indeed, I noticed that you and Mr. Bonaparte had already begun.
Ah, I adapt quickly to local customs. It's what I was taught.
And you are right to do so, my son. But tell me, have you had any news of your mother since your arrival?
Alas, still nothing, Your Eminence. But I still haven't been able to meet Lord Mortimer.
Do not worry. It is typical of him. What can I say? Lord Mortimer is a very busy man. I should think you are beginning to worry.
Well, I must admit, Your Eminence, indeed it does worry me.
I understand, Louis. But continue to have faith in Sarah. You'll see, I'm sure, that in a few days we'll all be laughing together.
That's all I hope for, Your Eminence. But while I have you with me, I have a question for you.
Well, go ahead, Louis. What can I do for you?
As I haven't visited all the manor yet, I wondered if you hadn't seen a Medusa by any chance.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, La Gorgogne, the Medusa from Greek mythology. Would you have seen one? In any shape or form?
Not at all, my son. I'm not sure what you're getting at, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be of any use to you.
Thank you anyway, Your Eminence. I won't take up any more of your time. On that last word, then I shall leave you to fight your demons. See you later, Your Eminence.
See you later, my son.
The only person sizing me up here is that monumental Zeus. It can't be here. There's a pattern with 5 circles on this chest. All right, I've retrieved everything. Chronicles of the Amber Princes. As I recall, Dorkin was my favorite character. Hey, these look like pages taken from an ancient encyclopedia. An old sesterce from Roman Gaul.
golden elixir. I'll keep it for later. Atrus, the Miller brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it. A few pages out of an old encyclopedia. Where all eyes size you up. Chances are, that's the room my mother spoke of. And she also spoke of a Medusa. Should I go and try to find the creature now? Liberty or Death by Vigneault. Well, I'll take liberty, please. But I do understand his choice, even though it seems radical. Celia. That name means nothing to me. Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. The last day before his crucifixion, Jesus announces that he will be betrayed by one of his disciples. This is Circe. I've got to find out what Mother was trying to do with her. The Medusa. A hero armed with a sword? A hero with a lantern? And the last one holding a shield. I'll stake my life on it. All the statues form a single scene together. The poor devils are about to face the beast. Let's give them a helping hand. Origin of myths, a reinterpretation of legendary creatures. Just what I need. The text is in French on the left-hand page and in Latin on the right hand. Let's find the chapter on the Medusa. There's an extra line in the Latin translation. The nightlight was reflected in the shield and blinded the monster. So the hero with the sword seized the opportunity and cut off its head. Hang on. This version is significantly different from the regular one. It recounts how men have always belittled women in society. Harpies, mermaids, the chimera, the hydra, the gorgons. Ah, the section on the Medusa. While some of the heroes divert attention from the Gorgon, the hero with the sword brandishes his weapon, the Medusa. When I see the lantern and the shield, I can't help thinking back to my childhood. Mr. Dorfer, our teacher. As soon as the sun came out, I got a kick out of distracting him with the inkwell by deflecting the light with it. I'd turn it in such a way as to direct a spot of light onto his face, not strong enough to dazzle him, but just enough to annoy him. Hey, what if I tried to annoy the Medusa with the lamp on the shield? Position it just right, and it might work. Looks right, but nothing's happening. Maybe, in this position, the hero with the shield is just dazzling his colleague. If I respect the legend, I have to place the hero holding the shield in front of the Medusa. Except for here, it doesn't work. There must be something else. If I respect the legend, I have to place the hero holding the shield in front of the Medusa. Except for here, it doesn't work. There must be something else. If I respect the legend, I have to place the hero holding the shield in front of the Medusa. Except for here, it doesn't work. There must be something else.
Rah! For Pete's sake, Emily! You scared the pants off me. Don't ever do that again.
Well, keep your nose out of my business then.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Stop fooling around and tell me what you're doing here.
Oh yeah? So tell me what you're doing here. Yeah, just like me.
Probably, but I asked the question first.
Well then, we'll pretend you haven't asked me yet.
What about a little gallantry, Louis? Come on, I'm listening. What are you doing here?
Since you insist, Duchess, gallantry obliges this. Ladies first.
You just won't give in, will you?
I'm sorry, madam. It isn't in my nature.
Well, no matter. I'll tolerate your presence this one time. Now, since you're here, make yourself useful. Look around on your side. I'll do the same on mine. And if you find anything of interest, let me know.
Oh yeah, in your dreams. At your service, madam.
Ancient Greek, translated. It reads, the all-gifted. Could this jar be the original Pandora's box? Emily, I've found Pandora's box. It's not as impressive as I thought it would be, but that's how these things usually go.
I detest that legend. Once again, women are made responsible for all of the world's evils. And stop playing with that pot, you'll break it. Come on, let's move on.
Emily, what if I open the jar? Would that then make man responsible for all the evils?
Try. It'll make a change. All right, can we move on now?
I do love your irony, but honestly, are you ever impressed by anything you see?
By a chamber pot? No, you really do need to do better than that.
A golden fleece.
It's freezing. Hurry up.
Cold? You want a rug? It'll warm you up.
I wouldn't be caught dead in that horrible thing.
That's a pity. The gold color brings out your eyes.
And your flattery brings out your boorishness.
An unofficial gospel? You'd be more likely to find this kind of book at the Vatican.
Nothing special. The library at Buckingham has 3.
I bet you've read them cover to cover.
Naturally.
Really? I'm curious. Tell me, what part stood out the most to you?
The passage where Mary says to Joseph, "Hey, you, shut up."
In other words, you haven't even opened one. Hey, Mortimer's the author of this work. It talks about his passion for art.
Guess what I found?
The Holy Grail.
Older than that.
A piece of Noah's Ark.
Not that old.
This could go on for hours. Just tell me.
Caesar's laurel wreath.
Stop! Don't put your grubby fat fingers on it.
You find my fingers fat?
At least put on some gloves.
Please note, my fingers are slim.
You were going to leave marks. My God, what an amateur.
Many a harpsichord players would love to have sexy fingers like mine.
Tell me where you took your infiltration classes so I can have your tutor executed.
Let's compare hands then. We'll soon see whose fingers are fattest.
No, I'm not going to compare hands with you. Let's just keep going.
Bad loser. Oh, looks like a pamphlet on different political regimes, written by Mortimer himself. You should see this sword, Emily. It's magnificent.
I'm busy. Describe it to me.
I think this is Excalibur, King Arthur's sword. I've always dreamt of drawing it from the stone.
How sweet. You're still clinging to your boyhood dreams. When you finished playing, maybe you can help me search the place?
Amber crystals.
Here's something interesting. A manor in Maine, hundreds of acres of land in Catalonia, properties in Shanghai. Incredible. Some of these deeds are over 600 years old, and all signed by the hand of Mortimer.
I wonder if that's what inspired my mother's attention. How come all these documents have Mortimer's signature on them?
Do you think all these properties really belong to him?
Probably, but that doesn't mean they weren't stolen.
But Mortimer's signature, it looks genuine.
Maybe he erased the original ones and signed his name instead.
These documents are intriguing, but do you really think that's what attracted your mother's attention here?
And how do you know my mother was interested in this room?
I didn't know, I just supposed she was. And you just confirmed it. So, do you think she found what she came for?
I don't know. She was obsessed with Mortimer, and I must confess, these property deeds are troubling.
If that's the case, why would she have left them?
Once again, I don't know. We'll have to ask her when we find her. And what's your take? How did Lord Mortimer get all this? It's just crazy.
Secret connections, money, or a well-kept family treasure passed on from generation to generation. Who knows?
That would mean some of Mortimer's ancestors lived before Jesus was born. I wonder why my mother didn't make it clear what she was interested in here.
She didn't have time to write it down, or maybe she wasn't sure of what she was looking for.
Or she wanted to protect her discoveries. It's disturbing.
You'll just have to search the rest of the room. Maybe you'll find something. What is that you found?
A cameo pendant. What's going on?
Nothing.
For crying out loud, Emily, you lunged for that jewel like your life depended on it. Tell me what this is about.
No. We just met, Louis. I like you, but I can't just suddenly open myself up like a book to you.
Listen, Emily. It seems pretty obvious to me that you haven't come here for the sole purpose of sampling Mortimer's cellar.
Stop all the clever evasions and just trust me.
And why the hell should I place my trust in you, Louis?
Nothing. I have done absolutely nothing for you. No to this, no to that. You ask for proof of trust, but when you get it, you turn a deaf ear. You are defiant, evasive, and paranoid. Go question your own motives. I've done all I can.
All right, fine. There's no point getting on your high horse, you know. So I'm wary, I grant you that. I'll admit you are fairly reliable.
That's it? I was expecting more.
Well, I'm prepared to trust you when it comes to choosing a French cheese. But I've nothing to gain by confiding in you any further than that.
Nothing to gain? Damn it, Emily! I'm only trying to help you. Stop needing to gain something all the time.
Because you think I need help?
Just like everyone. You have your strengths and your weaknesses. And there's no use pretending otherwise.
Ha! And I bet you found out where I'm weak, haven't you?
Pragmatic, intelligent, sure of herself. Her only weak spot is her difficulty talking about herself.
I don't know much about your past, but I'm guessing you had to get by on your own for much of your life. It might have closed you off, and that can be a disadvantage. It might be time for you to open up and risk a little trust. Not every man you meet wants to hurt you.
Yes, you may be right. I might have some weaknesses, but I don't need your help to overcome them. And I'm simply not contemplating collaborating with anyone at this time. Do you understand?
I don't see us as partners for life. You won't owe me anything, you know. It doesn't commit you to anything after all.
All right, you've gone to a lot of trouble. You deserve an answer. I already have a work partner. I know my weaknesses. I don't doubt that your abilities will be of use to me. But I already have all that, thanks to my teammate.
Is there any chance you might tell me who he is?
No, I've already said too much. Consider yourself lucky I've even given you this much. It's extremely rare, believe me.
Come on, don't stop now that you've come this far. You know that eventually I'll end up making you talk.
Well, since no one can resist you, let's see if you can guess who my partner is.
You're a gambler. So, your partner is... your sister. She's your partner. She's the one you're looking for.
Well, I am impressed. How the devil did you guess I had a sister? Virtually no one even knows. When it comes to getting results, you are very good, I grant you that. You deserve to know why the sight of the cameo pendant affected me so strongly. I thought it belonged to Emma, my twin sister.
Oh. Now I get why you said you had a memory for two.
Yes. You can't imagine to what extent, though. As children, everyone got us mixed up. So one day we decided to play along. Since then, we have become one and the same. We have officially erased the identity of my sister Emma. Emily Hillsborough. The woman with two faces.
Clever. But isn't it complicated? How do you make it work?
One of us has no existence in the outside world. We share everything. First for one, then for the other. We dress the same, wear the same makeup, we speak the same. We've learned to act as one. When we accept a mission, we both turn up. This time, though, she went ahead, and I was meant to wait for her on the mainland. She was meant to meet Sir Home and bring back the details, so we could work out who would follow up.
And there was a problem?
She was supposed to return from Mortimer's 1 week ago. The boat turned up at Plymouth, but alas, no trace of my sister. Instead, a sailor passed me a message from home, notifying me of her sudden disappearance.
So, my mother and your sister go missing just a few days apart. That's strange. Maybe their disappearances are linked.
It's clearly a possibility, but up to now I haven't found a trace of either of them.
None of this is very reassuring.
By the way, Louis, now that you are in on the secret, you are obliged to keep it to yourself, or you will pay very dearly.
Don't worry. Your secret is safe with me.
It's time to leave.
So, what do you think of our first adventure?
I must admit, it has been fun by your side.
Same here.
Oh, she's been drinking too much again.
Louis, I need to talk to you right now.
Good evening, Elizabeth. Actually, this is not a good time.
I'm begging you, please don't leave me alone.
I'll be waiting for you in your room, but don't be late.
I was sure there was a certain je ne sais quoi between us.
Louis, we need to talk now. Otherwise it'll be too late.
Looks like Elizabeth really needs me, but if I start talking to her, for sure Emily won't wait for me. What should I do? Sorry, Emily, but I can't leave Elizabeth like this. All right, Elizabeth. How can I help?
Thank you. Come on, follow me. I really need to talk to you, Louis, right now.
Does Lord Mortimer know the mess you've made of your room?
Listen to me, damn it! My days are numbered.
Elizabeth, I don't know if it's about my mother again, but I'm telling you, you've nothing to be afraid of. She didn't come here for you.
I saw her.
Saw who? You saw my mother? When?
Just last night. I went out to walk along the cliff top and I saw her in the distance. She tried to hide right away, but I'm sure it was her.
Are you saying you recognized my mother in the middle of the night while she was hiding?
Yes, Louis. I know it was her.
You just said she was far away, right? In the middle of the night. And the exterior of the island isn't exactly well lit.
Listen, I'm telling you, it was her.
Did you talk to each other?
No, she was far away. I didn't make any noise, and then she was gone.
Have you told anyone you've seen her? Sir Holm? Mortimer?
You don't understand. It's her. She's here.
Yes, I understand.
No, you're not listening. The moment I saw her, I was overcome by spasms. She's here. I'm telling you, it was her. Yes, I need something to calm me down.
No thanks, I'd better not.
Listen, if you want me to tell you everything, you have to drink with me, Louis. What I have to say to you is of the utmost importance.
I'll drink with you, but let's go easy on it, okay? I don't know where she gets her rot gut from, but frankly, it's disgusting.
You know, Louis, when I came here, it was in the hope of getting help. I've only just now realized that I've been drawn here into a trap.
Whoa. The alcohol's gone to my head.
Here, the condemned's last drink.
Elizabeth, alcohol never solves anything. I'm gonna stop now.
Listen up. You want to know what your mother was capable of, right? You want to know the reason why. Well, you're gonna have to follow me to the bottom of the abyss, Louis. Either drink or get out.
No, I won't drink.
All right, Louis, then get the hell out of here. You're incapable of opening your eyes, so be it. Get out!
Why the hell did I go with Elizabeth? could have spent the night with Emily, but no. I had to go play the night with a big heart. Oh, well, never mind. Tomorrow's another day.
Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
What the hell's going on?
You are in deep trouble, my young friend.
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet. Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you.
When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. But an act of horrific violence occurred during the night, and I do not know if this is linked to the disappearance of Sarah.
What are you getting at? What act of violence?
We found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. She was brutally murdered, stabbed several times. I'll get straight to the point, Louis. According to the initial elements at my disposal, you were the last person to see her alive.
Yes, last night we, Do you suspect me?
I want you to tell me everything that happened last night, and leave nothing out. Tell me, how did the evening begin?
I was going up to my room when I saw Elizabeth waiting for me. She was very upset, and her words didn't make sense. I thought it best to follow her to her room, as she had asked me to.
Continue.
She insisted we have a drink, without which she refused to confide anything.
What exactly did she want to speak about?
She claimed she saw my mother the previous evening on the cliff, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. I will send someone as soon as possible. But do go on.
I refused to go on drinking with her. She already seemed drunk and her conversation became confused. So, then she ordered me to get out. If only I'd stayed.
Don't blame yourself, Louis. How could you have known? But thank you for this new information.
Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed.
I understand. What do you intend to do?
I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why is that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi. So I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming.
four-letter word could open this? Which four-letter word could open this?
Permalite water will give me a little reprieve. The nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781.
Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. is probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say, Louis. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects. Monsieur Johann van Volner.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
Has anyone told you that Elizabeth was killed last night?
Yes. Rumors spread quickly.
Huh. He looks very put out.
It's horrible. How did it happen?
I can say nothing to you, sir. You'd better follow your host's instructions and stay in your quarters.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Knocked over a bottle of wine. Same thing Elizabeth served me last night. Still just as disgusting. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable. Knocked over a bottle of wine.
The blade is short and thin, well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. Knocked over bottle of wine. There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. Ancient Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what? I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. At first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. It looks as though the wounds were inflicted from a precise angle, as if the murderer was standing behind Elizabeth. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Laudanum. Certain courtiers use it to get drunk. If taken in large quantities, it can provoke fits of madness. Her breath smells of alcohol and of laudanum. People use it to relieve pain. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. No marks or bruising around the wrists. It doesn't look like she was tied up or held by force. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. My dear Elizabeth, a chest with a half-circle pattern. An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. Blood spatter indicates that the murder must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. Piece of fabric, high quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. It's a travel dress. The silk has been lightly waxed to protect it from bad weather. And I know the very woman who came up with the idea, given all the traveling she does. My mother. God help us. Why did she come here in the first place? The material appears to have undergone abnormal wear and tear. She must have been scouring the countryside, and that doesn't look good. Pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. '30 November, 17. August 24th. June 11th, 17th. A notebook written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. It looks like a mixture of medieval Latin and Anglo-Norman. It is difficult to make sense of this jerky writing. I can make out some passages, though. He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is. Death has come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing. A pentagram. What the hell's been going on here? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
Has Sir finished with this room?
Do you know who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand. Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
President George Washington.
Looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important role.
Portrait of George Washington.
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines. Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then?
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened, and I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry, countryman or not. I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Are you all right, Mr. President? Are you feeling all right?
Oh, don't worry. It's this rotten toothache. What do you expect? I'm no spring chicken now.
I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I can do, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Map of Vermont.
Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. Duke Manuel Godoy. Duchess Emily Hillsborough. King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess. Tending children at the orphanage in Harlem. I find it a little hard to understand this painting choice.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and...
The Lady's Waldegrave by Reynolds. Painted upon the request of the Waldegrave family, in an effort to find them a husband. Displayed like meat. It's disgusting. A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister. A Chinese coin, recognizable by the hole in the middle. If I remember rightly, that's called a cash. 2 coils circle the lock. Queen Charlotte. All the royal family of England is there from what I can tell. A letter from William Pitt the Elder, addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention. I shall be indebted to you until my last breath. If you have any request of me, you only need ask. With regards to my son William, I shall never thank you.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times. No doubt she suffered greatly.
9 times? What monster is capable of such a horrible thing? Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
Oh, either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since the blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. I'm now interviewing all the guests to establish the alibis for each person. Just so that I can cross you off the list of suspects, can you tell me what you were doing on the night of the murder?
Am I given to understand that I'm on the list of suspects?
Don't take it the wrong way, but I must consider every possibility.
Well, if you absolutely wanted to be sure of my activities that evening, you only had to join me, you know.
I know, Emily. Especially since I couldn't prevent the murder, even though I spent part of the evening with Elizabeth.
You're sure it's not too hard to bear for you?
The fact is, I don't have a choice. But I will find the murderer. I owe Elizabeth that, at least. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis. Dear E, I received your last...
Monsieur Napoleon Bonaparte.
The Prince by Machiavelli. A perfect read for anyone with a surfeit of ambition. That might come in handy. Hannibal crossing the Alps. Another military success. Why do I get nothing but visions of horror in the Battle of Alexander at Issus, or how Alexander the Great triumphed over King Darius? Yet another one with delusions of grandeur.
My dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. Paoli continues to steer our motherland, Corsica, toward open warfare between France and England. His men are everywhere. It's a beautiful weapon. A lovely damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles.
A Bazant. Amber crystals. French actor Talma is Nero in Britannicus, the last emperor of the Caesar dynasty.
There's just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him.
My dear Napoleon, as previously agreed, I would like to ask you to join us in January on my island to participate in the High Society meeting organized for the occasion. We shall be able to continue our discussion about our
bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you. Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaggi as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight. So I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really. No. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
Were you able to recognize the prowler?
Unfortunately not, no. It was dark, and Lord Mortimer was waiting for me. I was not really paying attention anyway. Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day. Sir Jacques Perru.
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut
that...
the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
A pattern with 4 circles. The Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests. The Massacre of the Innocents by Rubens. A bit gloomy. Guess my room is not that bad.
Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris. Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris.
Records of the police. Notes intended for the police lieutenant of Paris. It's a list of people under surveillance in Paris. And there's some well-known names on it. This is valuable information. This shouldn't be lying around. Pattern with 4 circles. Dear Monsieur Peru, I'm writing to thank you for the funds you sent. These funds will be crucial for the renovation of the western wing of the orphanage. The children you sent are doing marvelously well, and little Pierre will soon be walking. Some of them still sometimes suffer nightmares about their parents on the scaffold, but I expect they will cease in due course. Should you decide...
All right. I've retrieved everything.
Nice decor for a revolutionary tribunal judge's room.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. You were armed the night of my arrival. Can I see your weapon?
No.
You do realize you're not helping, don't you? You're making it worse for yourself. I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting.
Another painting on the massacre of the innocents? Dear Monsieur...
All right. I've retrieved everything.
Out of an old encyclopedia. Monsieur Johann van Volner.
the signs of obscurantism. The Sorrows of Young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful moments you gave me, but I hope that this will nonetheless keep the memory alive. Your ever-obedient servant. So, Volner had a relationship with Elizabeth. But that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult. A table of alchemical symbols. Someone circled the zinc symbol. Golden elixir. A chest locked with a 4-letter code. Surely a word close to the owner's heart. A cache. Amber. The alchemist is an old man.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Thank you kindly. Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure, and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response, but I see I have my answer now. loved her, didn't you?
That is none of your damn business.
Your feelings betray you, sir.
So what? Yes, I loved her like a moth loves the flame of a candle. That's why we could never be together.
We finished. I'll have a look around and then take my leave.
Do whatever you have to do.
President George Washington. Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. Huh, that's me. Duke Manuel Godoy. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I'm sorry, my lord, but I don't have any evidence conclusive enough to allow me to name the culprit with certitude.
Really? I see. Well, that's your decision, Louis, and I accept it. Given the distinguished guests and the sensitive political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way. Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She seems to be making every effort to steer clear of your guests.
What do you mean?
For the past few weeks, my mother's been playing cat and mouse, if you will. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she's trying to avoid someone. The question is, who?
And in your opinion, would she be the cat or the mouse?
Knowing my mother, she would be the cat.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the cannon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him, because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having the support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play. And I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what he said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I am sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Maybe she found something out.
What do you mean?
My mother has a gift for investigating. If she had picked up a lead, nothing would have stopped her.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
The armistice between the Russians and the Turks. Russia's come out of it having officially won Crimea, which gives it direct access to the Black Sea.
And, at the same time, the Mediterranean Sea. I'm worried about the decisions Tsarina Catherine might decide to take. She's a woman who managed to get rid of her husband to accede to the upper reaches of power. Gaining access to the Mediterranean Sea remains her main objective. When she still had that dear Potemkin as her lover, I could always find out about her intentions, but those days are over.
You're speaking of Grigory Alexandrovich Potemkin?
The very man. The little devil behind the mother of all Russians. Since his death, I know absolutely nothing of what the Tsarina is up to.
Oh, really?
Ah, yes. I didn't mean to shock you. Please forgive me. Let's just say that, in my position, it is often advantageous to know about the habits and customs of world leaders.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the Third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Unfortunately, my lord, the Crusades are not my chosen field.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time to learn. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
The room was just opposite Mortimer's study. Monsieur Johann von Wollner. President George Washington. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is on to us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there.
Dante's paradise.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. Carmelite water. The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. Open sesame. It's open. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. The New Testament. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in Jordan. A volume of the Gutenberg Bible. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. Their fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean? Of the 4 apostles shown in this piece, Paul is the only one who isn't an evangelist. He is the 13th apostle. So we have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11. But what's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe? A chest with the occult symbol representing air. And as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." And so it was that, while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Amber crystals.
St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean? Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. Follow peace with all men, and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. A volume of the Gutenberg Bible. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, and neither tempteth he any man. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is on to us.
Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there.
Dante's Paradise.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Dante's Paradise.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
What is this disc?
Dante's Paradise.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Dante's Paradise.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
St. Paul on the road to Damascus by Caravaggio. St. John, painted by Guido Rini. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in Jordan. And as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet. Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew, Golgotha. I and my Father are one. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. And it came to pass the day after that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. And so many came and couldn't find the body of the Lord Jesus. And so it was that, while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. Take heed that ye practice your justice before men, to be seen differently by them. Otherwise, ye shall have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, "Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole." And the woman was made whole from that hour. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. said, "For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh." And suddenly there came a sound from heaven like a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there were 7 sons of one Sceva, a Jew, and chief of the priests which did so. And he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious. It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon.
You are expected in the small salon, sir.
Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis?
I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. I've got a question that might seem a little bit strange.
I'm listening.
If I said go beyond the nightmare, would that ring any bells?
No, means nothing to me. Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
My mother used to talk about it, in the figurative sense probably. We still need to understand what she was referring to, though.
If I find something, I'll let you know.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge.
Emily, there's something else.
Go on then.
It's about your sister. I don't know what happened exactly, but it's possible that my mother had a go at her.
I know, Louis. I found out that same evening. Well, thanks for not trying to hide it.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know I can. It seems that your mother tricked Emma. She apparently asked her to hide an important book, so that even she wouldn't know where it was. And then she shot her like a dog to make sure no one would ever find it again.
How did you find out?
Sir Gregory told me on my arrival.
I'm sincerely sorry, Emily.
Thank you, Louis. But you do realize your mother will have to accept the consequences of her acts.
There must be an explanation, Emily.
That's what we shall see. Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest.
But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And who is this charming character?
Manuel Godoy, the Duke of La Alcudia.
He's the head of the Spanish government, Monsieur de Richet. He's the one who, in practice, controls Spain. How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined. What? Oh, no. The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before. How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if...
Gracious.
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous! Bastard! He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote! Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir.
But...
That's enough, sir.
With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too.
Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
To hear you speak, you seem to know my mother well.
Not really. We met for the first time on this very spot, some weeks back. We had a very pleasant discussion. She's an exceptionally learned lady, with a good head for business. No need for me to tell you that.
I agree.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
The cat's out of the bag now. More or less, but please do refresh my memory.
Yes, of course. Nothing of great importance in itself. During one of our discussions, she spoke of an old book, which might have been of interest to me, and she had agreed to let me have it.
A book about what?
Ancient occultism. As you are aware, I am a doctor of theology. You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
I found one.
Quite old? With locks on every chapter?
Oh no. I'm sorry, sir. This one is the Mysterium Cosmographicum, a book she is particularly fond of.
Oh, no. That's not the one.
Poor man's disgusted. I shouldn't play with his nerves.
I'll look again.
You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchet in Paris. Do you know him?
Indeed. My mother and I had a brush with this individual just a few months ago.
What about?
About an object stolen from the Order a few years ago, which my mother wanted to recover.
This situation comes as a great surprise to me.
I got him now. I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Burchert was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. Your dear king, I should think.
What? You mean Frederick William? Oh, my poor fellow. You are miles away. That stupid, pretentious puppet wields no real power. But seeing as you do not wish to be serious, so be it. Good luck to you.
Chronicles of the Amber Princes. As I recall, Dorkin was my favorite character.
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
Meaning?
This gentleman enjoys people talking about him for too many reasons. His undeserved titles, more than 10 in just 4 years, and each one more prestigious than the one before.
You don't think he deserves them?
If I had seen him on the battlefield, there might be some doubt. But that is not the case. The Queen would rather not risk losing him, so she consoles him with awards and titles.
So you don't have a very positive opinion?
His coveting French Catalonia does not encourage me to have one.
I understand your point of view. Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
Sadly, people are more preoccupied with his ties to the Queen than they are with his talents as a statesman.
And it is indeed regrettable. because he is nonetheless still an important leader. I am not a man who pays attention to gossip, you know.
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend.